You're listening to the SEO Mindset Podcast. Now, we are not your typical how to do SEO podcast. No, we are not. With the help of our guests, we cover those all-important topics around career development, personal growth, and mental health for those working in the SEO industry. You got to be working on your own internal algorithm, like what we did there. So, if you like the sound of our podcast and you think this is a bit of me, shall we crack on with this week's episode? Did you know Romesh Ranganathan was actually a math teacher before leaving that career to pursue stand-up full-time? Sticking with the comedy theme, Wanda Sykes worked as a contracting specialist with top secret security clearance at the NSA in the 1980s/90s before quitting to also pursue stand-up full-time. And moving from comedy to music, before he made it big, John Legend worked as a management consultant. You may be thinking, Sarah, this is the SEO Mindset Podcast. Why are you telling us these random facts? Well, welcome to the new season. We're in season 18. Can't quite believe I'm saying that. We've decided to change the main theme of our podcast. Joking. Please don't be alarmed. No, to kick the season off, we're talking about how there's no such thing as a linear career path. And I wanted to start with some strong evidence. My examples from those famous folk show how career paths can change and pivot. And that is exactly what me and Tazmin will be getting into. Now, this is going to resonate with you so much because if you think about it, SEO didn't really even exist as a career like 20 years ago, right? We'll be giving examples from our own career paths. Sneak peek, I actually studied dance at uni. How did I get from there to becoming a podcast host, producer, and marketing consultant? Well, you'll have to listen, won't you, to find out. And of course, we always promise practical tips. So there will be those thrown in as well that you can implement to help you navigate and build a portfolio, career and CV that's going to help you really pursue that career that you want in SEO and get that fulfillment you're looking for. Just a quick ask. If you like what me and Tazmin are doing, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Your SEOs, you know how these algorithms work. There's a link in the show notes to make that super easy, or just do it from wherever you're listening right now. I bet you're on the edge of your seat and you're wanting to know how did you go from dance to where you are now? Well, we've got to crack on, haven't we? Tazmin, it's felt like we've not recorded in a while. I don't know if you agree with that sentiment.
I think I would definitely agree with you on that. Because I think the last time we did batching was it when I came to Worcester?
Oh, yes. We had a lovely morning together. We had some breakfast and then we went into my little studio and we recorded episodes. We need to do that again. That was a lovely way to spend a morning.
It was. We recorded one and then realised we hadn't hit play, remember?
Yes.
So our batching didn't really batch as well as we wanted.
And that was all because I was thrown out of, I'm very routine. And I think we were testing a camera or something. And I was so in my brain, I was like, I've got to make sure the camera is recording. I flipping forgot to hit record on the Rodecaster for the audio. You learn, you live, you learn, and you don't make that mistake again.
Feeling though.
So we are both in the UK and I can't not mention the heat. Are you surviving?
Well, my laptop is getting a better service than I am right now because I've got a fan on and it's directed at the laptop because last time I recorded was the week when it was really hot. Huge problems. Internet was dropping, laptop was burning. So I am surviving, but my laptop is doing well as well. So that's amazing.
It just goes to show, doesn't it, that the UK just doesn't bode well in the heat. Most shops and like cafes and restaurants now will have aircon, but not many people at home have aircons, do they? Or finding issues with your laptop overheating or internet melting because of the heat. It's bonkers, isn't it? Or train delays. So many trains
Yes.
get cancelled because the train lines get warped or something in the heat. We're not very good, are we, in England?
But increasingly, people are getting air conditioning. If you don't have an air conditioner and you suffer for lack of sleep because of the heat, get a hot water bottle, fill it in water, put it in the freezer, and then put a towel around it when it's frozen and use it to cool your bed down.
Oh, Tasman's top tips in the
Tasman top
heat.
tips to survive the heat.
Love it. I will. Yes, that I didn't think about that, but that's an easy way to cool down the bed. Last tangent, and then I'll. Don't worry,
Mm.
listeners. We will. We all get on topic. But I saw that you can buy mattresses now that you can control the heat, but half and half. So, like when you share your bed with your partner, if they prefer a warmer bed, they can set their heatings to warmer. And then if you prefer colder, you set your side to cooler.
These are all great ideas.
Yeah, well, this more than an idea, Tasmin. It's out there. It's in the world. You can buy it. So
Yes.
yeah. Anyway, that's enough of the tangent, isn't it? Shall we get
Yes.
on track? Shall we actually talk about what we're meant to be talking about today?
Yeah, before the listeners think it's all about heat wave survival. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Come on, quick.
I don't have much to say on heat survival because I'm not doing very well. But anyway, so today we are talking about how there is no such thing as a linear career or career ladder anymore. So, Tasmin, I bet your question to me is, how did you come up with this idea? Where did this come from?
Tell me, Sarah, where did you get this idea from? I'm
I was
intrigued. Everyone's intrigued.
I was worried that you weren't going to say anything. I was like, come on, Tasmin. Come on, bit of improv. So I was reading an IMD article called Workplace Trends for 2026. And I'll make sure to pop a link in the show notes because it's a good read. Obviously, it was posted at the end of 2025, but we're only halfway into 2026. So still very relevant. So after listening to this episode, check out the show notes and you can read the full article. But there was a section in it that piqued my interest, and I thought this would be a cracking topic for the podcast. So I'm just going to read a paragraph from this article. So, my best storytelling voice. Are you ready, Tazmin?
Let me get comfy.
Get
Yes, go for
comfy.
it.
Listeners, pause, go grab yourself a cuppa, get yourself comfy as well. It can be an experience.
It's Jack and Ori time.
I'm picking this up now. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
The shift toward portfolio careers is accelerating, but no longer confined to senior professionals approaching or even post-retirement. Younger workers are increasingly embracing multiple income streams and project-based engagement throughout their careers. The idea of a person following one career path in their lifetime has gone for good, a sentiment acknowledged by 82% of senior executives that were interviewed or surveyed, according to the GI Group Holding survey, The Work Life We Want. Jobs have become transient and employees continuously seek situations that work better for them. The question for managers is not whether this trend exists, but whether their organisations have systems in place that reflect this new reality. So, lots of posh lingo there, lots of posh words, but basically what I took from that is the idea of you following a strict linear career path no longer exists. And more so, what people, and definitely the younger generation or younger audience, or those just coming into work employment, is that like side hustles, hobbies, projects, things that pique your interest. So you get involved with them and look for opportunities, and you also look at different ways of generating income. It doesn't all have to come from one thing. It doesn't have to all come from one job. And the idea of being curious, and that your career path can kind of ebb and flow and there's no set structure to it. So that's what I took from that. When you heard that, Tazmin, was there anything that surprised you, or what's coming up for you?
One thing that you said was something like younger workers. I read an article recently that people who are nearing retirement or at retirement age, for a variety of reasons, one, maybe their pension pot isn't big enough, so they carry on working, or they want the type of retirement where they're still doing something and are using that opportunity to explore and seek out new opportunities. Because if you think about somebody my age who, okay, maybe I'm not the perfect example because I have had different careers, but if somebody has left school, left uni, trained as an accountant, for example, got an accountancy job, and in those days there was less of a culture where it was accepted that you would have a portfolio career, that you would be more fluid in the way you navigated your career, got a job, you stayed in one organization until you retired, finished. And there's a lot of my friends who are doing jobs that they don't love doing, but they did it because it put food on the table. And I think the pathway of life was more prescriptive as well. You got a job, you got married, you bought a house, you had children, you kept carried on working, and then you retired. Whereas a lot of them are now thinking, actually, you know what, I'd have really liked to do this other thing, or that I would have liked to dabble in this. And there is an opportunity now. Whether workplaces are seeing this as an opportunity, and I've talked about age diversity at Brighton and at so many places, that we still have value in us, even though we've got to a certain age. We can still add value, we can still contribute to the workplace, we can actually add to the workplace by helping the younger ones with perspective and mindset and all of that. So that's what came up for me.
I love
The
that you've raised that, because as you said that, and obviously I was referencing what was put in an article, but maybe it's less to do with your age and maybe it's more to do with key points of your life. So maybe it's more that people are seeing opportunities to be curious, try new things, be experimental, and maybe they're finding the courage to do that at more key points of their life. So when they're just starting out in their career, when they are retiring, for example, maybe there's another point where you've been established in your career, or you've been doing a job for a while and it's no longer lighting your fire. So maybe it's like, I'm thinking it's less to do with age, but more there's going to be key points of your life that is going to present these opportunities to you.
Yeah. So remember when we recorded six human needs and we said that every human needs an element of security and excitement, stroke insecurity. So if you're starting out, you don't have a mortgage and you don't have children or dependents, you're thinking, you know what, let me dabble here and see where that takes me. And again, when you've got to the other end of that spectrum, where if you have had a family, they're self-sufficient, if you have had a mortgage, you've paid it off, and again you're able to take those risks a bit more. So yeah, I think there's a lot of merit in what you just said. Good point.
I sometimes have them, Tasmin. I sometimes
You
have them. And
often have.
and I resonated with this so much because when I read that bit in that article, it got me reflecting on my own career path. And I haven't, yeah, I definitely haven't followed a strict linear career path. And I'll talk through that. But I just want to start by saying that this is something that our listeners and most SEOs will relate with, especially because having a career in SEO didn't exist 20 odd years ago, did it? So a lot of our listeners and a lot of those people who are working in this industry are probably like, well, yes, like, of course, I didn't start off knowing that I'd get into SEO one day or this is where I'd be. And for me, if I think about my trajectory and if I think about my career progression, I haven't really known what I wanted to do. Interestingly, I've always had a performance side. So I was a performance arts kid. I was doing Stagecoach. I was doing dance school, all of that lovely stuff. I learned to play piano. That's performative, isn't it? It's creative. At uni, I studied dance. During that time, I then got into radio, student radio and local radio. And then after uni, I went traveling for a bit and I was like, okay, I need to make money. I need a way to start paying bills. And I just fell into my first marketing role. It wasn't ever planned. And the marketing agency was looking to hire, they wanted to grow their SEO department and they wanted people as a blank sheet. They wanted people they could train. So that's how I got into SEO and marketing. During that time, I was introduced to delivering talks and I was then introduced into podcasting. Yeah, you can see where this is going to go. I then fell in love with podcasting because I really loved radio and I loved the student radio. And it's quite funny because I was talking to someone on the podcast and they were like, after we'd finished recording, they were like, do you know what, Sarah, I could imagine you having a radio show and listening to you on a drive time. I was like, oh, thank you. But anyway, not going off on a tangent here. But yeah, I started a podcast as an interest and a hobby because, yeah, it piqued my interest. And that has now led on to what I do now. Do you know what I mean? And so there was no linear career path. There was lots of side hustles. There was lots of trying stuff out. There was lots of things that I was trying to pique my interest. But I am so happy that I badgered my friend Hannah Bryce, my first ever podcast, SEO SES, because we were the GI Janes of the SEO industry. But I am so happy that I decided to pursue that hobby, because if I hadn't have done that and like been like, oh, do you know what, I'm going to give this thing a go, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, hosting a podcast with you. We have sponsorships and I've worked for a podcasting company and I'm now a freelance podcast producer.
It is so fluid, and when I'm listening to you, that it requires an element of bravery, it requires an element of not needing to overly plan. So I think though you've had that career, I think it's your ability to embrace change and opportunity that's given you that. Not everyone would be able to do.
And I understand, yes, there is. And I think there is this mindset as well that you can't do something because it's going to go against my plan. Or you gave the example at the beginning of the podcast episode where you said, well, I trained to be an accountant. That's what I trained to do. That's what I put my effort into. So I've got to stay at it. Like, no, we can change, we can pivot, we can try different things. And I'm going to get into this in part 2, but all those transferable skills that you can find as well. But yeah, like, how do you relate to this if you reflect on your career?
So although, SEO, as you said, didn't even exist, nobody, I certainly didn't leave uni saying I want to be in SEO. But I think it was always in the world of tech. And one thing that I have struggled with, and I think maybe you need to have that identity that I have a portfolio career, and therefore it's okay to have a coaching business and a podcast. And you and I have spoken about this, where I said, "Oh, but Sarah, how do I merge the two?" And you're thinking, "Yeah, but you're the mergy bit. You're a podcaster and you're a coach, and that's okay." But I struggled with it, maybe being conditioned with having one path and you must follow that path. So it's almost like when I'm in my coaching world, I'm in on that path, and I used to not talk about the podcast much or ignore that, and vice versa. But over time, I think they've blended much more. But that's me having to unlearn some things.
Yes. And I just want to pick on what you said there about unlearning certain habits or unlearning certain ideas or even values, I suppose, because you've got, I mean, fortunately, I'm in a position now where I've tried lots of bits and bobs. So now I feel like I want to be a bit more intentional, and I know more what I want to do more of, and I know what I want to do less of. But there's still an element of when a new opportunity arises, don't be afraid to take it. And you just never know where things are going to end up. You never know where things are going to lead. And this relates as well to and we'll put a link in the show notes, but this links to the episode that you did with Mel about luck, isn't it? Because it's definitely that idea as well.
That episode popped into my head, and I'm glad you mentioned it, because she was talking about building your network because they are interesting people, not that I'm going to speak to this person because in 10 years' time it may result in a job. It's just build those connections, look for those opportunities, and just believe that be the type of person that believes that it's all going to work out for you. And I think that's a big part of it, that you to have a portfolio career and to do it with fear would be so hard. But if you think, oh, do you know what, I get to do this and I get to learn that and I get to dabble in this, if you embrace it in that way, it's going to be much easier, and much easier to handle the knockbacks that will be part of any career.
And I just want to pick on what you just said, where Mel was like, you're not necessarily going to go networking or meet people because you're like, okay, in 10 years' time, this is going to happen. But the bigger your network is, and the more people that know of you and know what you're doing, like there's going to be more opportunities. And I had an example of this. So when I first got into podcasting to help grow SEO SES back in the day, me and Hannah went on other people's podcast, and there was a podcast that I went on, and this was like years and years ago, and really got on with the host, had a lovely conversation, recorded a really good episode, and then we had each other on LinkedIn, me and the host, and we were like chatting and stuff, or like just keeping an eye on what each other were up to, like you would in the digital space. And then when I went freelancing recently, so I've been a freelancer for two years, last year he reached out to me about a freelance opportunity, and that's just an example there, isn't it? So you never know what's going to happen.
No. But that's the beauty of it, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's an and I get that it's daunting and scary, but also like I see it more exciting. Like all these opportunities, you just don't know what's going to happen, where it's going to lead, what's going to be down the line. Now, I'm going to take us to a short break. And in part 2, we always promise practical tips and strategies. So I have a whole host that we can share, and Tazmin will give her input and add as well, because you always have golden nuggets, don't you? But is there anything that you want to squeeze in, Tazmin, on this subject before we take a short break?
No, happy to take. Thank you.
No? Okay. All right. Well, join us for part 2. Now, most marketing teams are still optimizing for clicks, but the way people discover brands has already changed. Today, decisions are happening inside AI platforms like ChatGPT, Google's AI overviews, and Gemini, where there's no ranking page, no 10 blue links, and often no click at all. So the question becomes, is your brand showing up when decisions are being made? Previsible helps companies answer that question and, more importantly, act on it. They work with growth teams to understand their visibility across AI platforms, identify where they're being cited or ignored, and build strategies across content, technical SEO, and authority to actually move that presence. Because this isn't just about traffic anymore, it's about influence. If you want to understand how your brand shows up in AI-driven search and where the opportunities are, you can get a clear view in just a few minutes. Simply go to previsible.io or find the link in the show notes.
You probably already recognise this voice, but Sarah here. Are you enjoying what me and Tazmin are doing and fancy supporting the podcast? Well, it just so happens that you can. Now, for the same price as a Starbucks, Costa, or your favourite coffee shop coffee, you can give us a one-off tip or a monthly donation. If you fancy doing that, follow the link in the show notes. Why not also help us share the podcast? Get the word out there. Share us with your friends, colleagues, family, anyone who you think would benefit from our podcast.
We are back with part 2. Tazmin, are you enjoying our conversation?
I find it really interesting, and I think it's so refreshing. I know for those people who are going through the bumps of portfolio career, and I've been through that too, but to be able to live in a way and have a career that is aligned to yourself and uses the skills that you want to use and gives you that flexibility and freedom. That's something that many people, especially in my generation and before, didn't have.
Yeah. And just bringing back something that you said at the start of the podcast episode, I think now life is less prescriptive, isn't it? Like there seems to be a bit more fluidity and a lot more flexibility, and there doesn't seem to be certain things that you have to hit anymore. Like you go to school, you go to university, you marry someone, you buy a house, you have a kid, you stay in your job and you work up the career ladder and you get promotions and you stay loyal to that sort of brand or organization. I think nowadays there is a lot more flexibility, and because of the way of the world, because of technology, because of the internet, even because of AI, right? Nearly did a full episode without even saying the word AI. But there is a lot more opportunities out there for people, and it's exciting, isn't it? And like, I just want to reiterate, it's not an age thing either. Like, this isn't just for youngsters who are new in the career and they're just finding their feet. Like, I know I said that maybe it's more about key moments of your life, but it's your life, right? It's your journey. Take what we're talking about today and get inspired and implement it. And yeah.
I'm going to have to be Auntie Tasman for a moment.
Okay, please do. And then we'll get into the practical tips and strategies. Did I get too whimsical a little bit?
There's this place for whimsical. I'm fine with that. There's also an element of life is less safe now. So before you could train as an accountant and get a job and stay in that job until you retired, and your retirement pot would be fine. That's not the
Okay.
case anymore, right? So, and actually having a portfolio career means that you're not putting all of your resources in one path. So if you were
Mm,
investing and you had a portfolio, you wouldn't put all of your money in one set of shares. It would be spread along different organizations, different industries. And I think that's also why people are doing it now, because if one path starts to dry up, you've got the other one to lean on.
That is a good reminder and a good reality check, isn't it? Because, yeah, as much as there's all of these opportunities and stuff, like you said, things might not go to plan. And yeah, the more you've got to be sensible in actually having more things that you can add to your portfolio, and more things that you can add to your CV shows that you're someone who is willing to try different things as well, isn't it? And you're not just stuck in one lane. You can move about, and that doesn't sort of trip you up, sort of thing. So yeah, that's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Okay, Tazmin, shall we talk practical strategies?
Let's.
I don't know why I decided to say that in a very performative way. I mean, my eyebrows are going all over the shop. But Tazmin, I have a list of strategies that people can start implementing today to help them navigate the idea of a portfolio career. But please, at any time, interject. Give me your thoughts. If you want to add anything, please do, because I love a Tazmin golden nugget. Okay, are you ready for the first one?
I am.
So this comes up a lot for us. Pretty much every episode we say about curiosity, becoming self-aware. So what I want people to start doing is noticing what excites them, what enjoys them, what brings them satisfaction. Because as I said, with my experience in my career, you never know where some things will lead. You'll start something as a hobby, or you'll start something because you're interested, or like it makes sense, and you just never know what's going to become of that. So yeah, being curious, is the best way to figure out what these different revenue streams and what these different opportunities can be.
And in order to do that, you have to slow down. You have to give yourself some space. So for everyone who is finishing work exhausted, rolling into bed, rolling out of bed, starting work again, I know I'm being extremes here, but yeah, give yourself 15 minutes before you go to sleep. Get a notebook, write down what happened today, who did you meet, what did you find interesting about it, because that's creating your own data pool about you. And if you do that every day for 30 days and then look back and think, oh, that's interesting, or never want to do that again, that's where you're going to get the real.
Love it. Yes, we need to. And that's a reminder for me as well. Slow down, because if you don't give your self time to be reflective, and you're just go, work, do, yeah, you're not going to be able to figure this sort of stuff out, are you? Instead, so tip number 2, instead of asking, what am I good at? I mean, it's good to think about that, but ask yourself, am I good at this? And where does this lead? Where could this potentially take me? So for example, when I was first given podcasting a go, and I felt, you know what? After a bit of practice, after a bit of this and that, I think I'm okay at this. I could have then mapped out and been like, oh, actually, if I really hone this craft and really do this thing, it could lead to this, it could lead to that. So instead of just asking, what am I good at? Make sure that you follow it up with, and where will that lead?
Very good point.
I don't know why, Tazmin, but whenever you don't add something on, I have a little win in my brain, like, oh, I covered that one quite well, didn't I? Number 3, It is okay to not have all the answers yet. So I've already said this at the start, where careers should ebb and flow. Careers should be a journey. There is no wrong or right answer. So I don't want listeners to ever think, oh, I can't possibly say yes to this because what if it's not the right answer? This is where having that fluidity and having that flexibility can help, because you don't know if something's not the right thing for you until you've tried it. The only issue comes if you stick at it and you carry on doing it, because if you carry on doing the same thing expecting something different, that's never gonna work, is it? So yeah, you never know until you give it a go, but don't be afraid to pivot, change if you don't like it.
And I think sometimes saying, I don't know the answer to that yet, is also an answer. So, should I go down this path? Yes is an answer. No is an answer. I don't know yet is also an answer. And then you can say, I'm going to revisit this in a month's time. But then, put a reminder in your diary, write it down somewhere. Don't just say, I don't know if this is for me, and then dismiss it.
Yes. Yeah, because there could be things that you put on a bit of a back burner for now. I don't have an answer for this yet, but I'm not ready to let it go. And then you can keep it in a safe place, can't you? Okay, number 4. Yes, 4. Just counting my list there. Audit all your skills. Think out of these skills, what comes naturally, or what have you particularly worked hard at? So there might be things that you're not naturally good at, but you spent the time working at them to improve them. Because this is the way that you can start noticing transferable skills, which is what we've already sort of spoke about, transferable skills, right? So list them down, and then you can identify gaps that you then need to work on as well. Or it might be like when you've listed your skills and you've got your transferable skills, you can be like, okay, this pocket of skills helps with this, and that's what I'm going to go after now. But then there might be a pocket of unfinished skills that need a bit more honing or a bit more finessing. So for example, when I first started podcasting, I had to learn how to produce. So I had to learn how to plan, edit, publish, all of that stuff. So whilst I was developing my skills, at that time, I wouldn't have been ready to take on clients. But that is a skill that I could have developed and been like, do you know what? With a bit more time and a bit more, and maybe get some work experience, or find like some way that you can demonstrate that skill, you can work on it. And that could be the same in your SEO career or your digital marketing career. Maybe there's an element that you want to get into, but you need to sort of do a bit of finance. What am I trying to say? You need to practice a little bit first.
And I think sometimes, rather than just spend all your time learning the new skills, taking a new course, practicing, think of it as in phases. So phase 1 might be, I've got something to talk about. I would like to start a podcast, but I'm not ready for that yet. There are set skills that I do not have. That doesn't mean that you can't be a guest on somebody else's podcast.
That is very true. Yeah.
So don't just say, I've got to get everything perfect before I do the thing.
And it might be, so we often talk about Brighton SEO, right? And maybe one thing that you want to do is you want to speak at Brighton SEO, and it's figuring out the steps and what's missing or what you can do to lead you towards that. Maybe you want to progress in your role. So maybe you're an executive and you want to become a manager. So it's understanding where you want to lead and what you want to do. And maybe you're an executive right now where you're working and there is an opportunity to be a manager, but there's an opportunity elsewhere, sort of thing. So yeah, you got to be aware and you've got to know what's around you, sort of thing, don't you?
Yeah.
Show what you're doing in public. People won't know what you're doing if you don't tell them. Yeah. So when I decided that I wanted to freelance, so when I finished working at my last employed role and I was like, right, I'm going to do some freelancing now. That's me. That's what I'm going to do. I had to go out and tell people. So yes, like I said, there was opportunities that came to me because of the connections that I made, but I still had to outreach. I still had to use the connections. I still had to use the people I met, my network, and I had to tell them. And sometimes it was just as simple as, hey, I'm freelancing right now. Let's hop on a call and let's chat how I can help or support you, sort of thing. Maybe there is some while you're first starting something, can you offer to do a bit of work, audit or something like that? So you need to, once you're deciding there is like a new career path or something additional that you want to explore and do, you need to tell people that you're doing it.
And that can feel so difficult for some people, including me. Even though I'm on here, the number of times you've said to me, Tazmin, why don't you talk more about your coaching? Why don't you speak to them? Why don't you speak to them? Why don't you speak to them? And I get it. It's hard, but I would 100% agree with it. Don't make it more complicated than it has to be. Keep it as simple as Sarah has said. Just connect with them, speak to them. And this is the advantage of being somebody like Sarah, who naturally is like, when Sarah goes to Brighton, it's like, reunion with all of her buddies. And I'm thinking, too many people. But yet keep those connections, keep those conversations going. And then when it comes to the point where you want to step into a new career or you want to try something new, it's an easier conversation to have because there's relationships already.
And I've got an example of like how I did this recently. So as I said, I've been freelancing for 2 years now, and there was a time where organically projects and things that you're working on with clients will come to a close. Maybe it was like a contract. Like when you're freelancing, you've always got to find ways to keep people coming in. And one way that I did this was I live in Worcester, and I was researching and looking for locally based agencies, because what I thought was not a lot of agencies will offer or have the skill set to offer podcasting. So I did my research, found some people on LinkedIn, and I kept it as simple as, hi, I see that you're in Worcester. I'm also in Worcester. Looks like we do sort of a similar thing. Do you fancy meeting up for a coffee to chat about opportunities or how we can support one another? And from that initial message, they accepted. I went in, I met with them, and we're currently working together on adding that as an additional service to what they offer to clients. And that came from a LinkedIn message, right? So it's being not ballsy, but having the confidence to put yourself out there. Another example of this was there was someone who was looking for a video editor and a motion graphics designer. I can edit videos, but I can't design and put together motion graphics. So using my connections, I find someone who does something that I can't, and I said about the project and what we're going to do. And off the back of that, we're going to meet for coffee. And again, look for opportunities. Be like, okay, this is what I offer. This is what you offer. Here are the gaps. I can give you this work if you give me that work. So there's lots of opportunities to be had. You've just got to go out there and do it, basically.
And it is a numbers game. So you may send out 100 of these messages. Do not expect 100 to come back and say, yes, let's have coffee. And it's okay. It's not, they're not rejecting you. You're just not what they're looking for at that particular moment in time. But the fact that you've opened up the conversation, next time they are looking for your particular skill set, they'll remember you.
And also, like, people are busy. You talk to anyone nowadays, and everyone is just so busy. So it might be that they've not got back to you just because they're inundated in messages. So also send more than one message. Obviously, you don't want to come across as too needy and do too many, but like, don't be afraid of following up and keep making sure that you're in their mind all the time, because that's one way that you can make sure that relationship is still going. There was a really good episode that I will link to in the show notes. So I spoke to Shola, who was a speaker at Women in Tech, and I can't remember the title of her talk.
It's not about asking.
The power of the ask. The art of the ask. And one of the things that she talks about is when you get a no, don't just shut that down and don't ever reply or handle no with, because just because it's a no right now doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a no forever. Because if you handle that right and you keep the relationship and be like, okay, I understand it's a no right now, but keep me in mind, let me know. You never know, like, an opportunity might further arise with them, or they could be talking to someone and they're like, oh, have you got any suggestions we're looking for X and X a person. Have you got any suggestions? If you've got that good relationship and you're carrying on that conversation, they're more likely to suggest you, aren't they?
Yeah. It's called The Art and Power of Asking Questions. A show looking at.
There we go. Yes, make sure that you listen to that podcast episode, because, it's a really good one. I think it was a while as well. So I'll pop it in the show notes. And then my last thing is every quarter, minimum every quarter, you can do it more regularly if you want to, but check in with yourself and see your progress. Yeah. So as you're working through, and just have a look, be reflective, see where you are, have a look at what's next on the horizon, have a look at what didn't quite get finished or completed that you can carry on, what worked really well that you know you definitely need to do more of.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the end of my list, Tazmin. Do you have any others?
Think of yourself as a business. And again, we're using portfolio, that type of terminology. We recorded an episode, think of yourself as an entrepreneur, remember?
Yes.
And you know what? Again, I am speaking to myself as much as I'm speaking to everyone else, because this is something I've learnt late in life. I thought I'd get a job, I'd go to work, everything would be fine, life would be breezy, and then I'd retire. And then, retirement would be, I didn't even think about what retirement would look like. But as we are coming to a world which is more uncertain, things are changing faster than they ever have. Really think of yourself that, okay, how am I going to use my assets, which is your skills, your time, your energy, to the best of your ability in order to be able to create whatever it is that you want to create. And, even as you were speaking, so I've seen loads of articles recently about, train as a plumber because AI is not going to come and get your job. We recently had the floor change in this room, and the person who laid it said, right, this is my last job. Then I'm going to Sri Lanka for a month to chill. And then I'm going to New Zealand for a year to lay flooring there, because guess what? AI isn't coming to get my job. And And I was thinking, I really like cooking. And yes, you can get ready meals, but surely there'll be enough people in my local vicinity that actually don't want to eat ready meals, but they want to eat wholesome, balanced, clean, nutritionally loaded, home cooked meals. Well, I do that. I'm really getting on top of all of my points and different types of nutrients that you need. And who knows? I mean, I can cook. I had a catering business. I used to teach cookery. Maybe if I wanted to, part of my portfolio will be having one or two families that want that type of food.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's so true. It's so true. Well, that time has flown. I don't know if it's flown for you, Tasmin. Hopefully it's
Definitely
flown
has a
through
lot to this.
for our listeners as well. Can't get my words in. But yes, what if there's one thing that you think listeners should take away or implement after listening to this episode, what would that be? What's coming up for you?
I think look at yourself not harshly, not overly kindly, but as a business. What are your assets? What are your skills? What do you know how to do? Oh, you should link the Ikigai episode. That will take them
Okay.
through it. And then
Yeah.
that's got the video that will show them how to do it as well. So really look at yourself and think, okay, I'm really good at communicating. I'm really good at writing. I'm really good at this. I'm really good at that. What is it that I would like to do? And be excited about it. If anyone's listening, I've just had a thought. If anyone's listening and wants me to cook for them, I've decided I don't want to do that. And this is the thing. Could I do it? Yes. Would I be good at it? Absolutely. I can cook really well. But what lights me up is doing this type of work, not being you know, slaving over a cooker. It's not what I want to do. But one of the things that I've noticed about the way I coach, people feel safe. And I always feel like I'm their coach stroke Auntie Tasmin that makes them feel safe, that helps them grow. And I'm enjoying the small groups more. And one of the things that I'd wanted to do this year was to do a retreat at home, small number of people. So be really playful. And I know we say curiosity, but curiosity, playfulness, what can I do with that? And write down 100 different things that you could do. This isn't about, this is just writing things down. You don't have to worry about it. Just jot them down. And then imagine, okay, how does that feel? Which is what I sort of did even in this, few seconds between me saying I'm going to be a cook to no, I don't want to. Because I visualized what did that look like? What did that feel like? Did I want to do that? No, actually, just don't want the smelling of onions all the day long. But home retreat, so I'd love to welcome a few people to talk about their careers and their lives and their vision. That feels more like me. So go through that list and see which one feels like you. And maybe narrow it down to 10 and then give it a go.
Yeah. And I love everything that you've said there. And I think the one thing that I would urge people to do is that one thing that's been niggling at you that you've wanted to try. And it could be anything. Obviously, I've talked a lot about podcasting because that's relevant to this episode, but you never know. So another podcast episode I'm going to tease, so this is an up and coming episode, but I spoke to someone about improv and how using improv can help with a certain element of your SEO career. So I've teased it, folks. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And I was like, oh, maybe improv is the next thing that I want to have a go at and see. But another thing that I'm doing right now is drumming. And yes, I've joked to Tash that you never know. Tash, my partner, for those who don't know who Tash is. You never know. I might end up in a band one day. Never say never. But yeah, just anything that's been niggling at you or anything that's been like in the back of your brain, like, oh, you want to try this, Sarah? Give it a go. You never know. Just do it. Have fun. And if you don't
It's
like
a
it,
universe hinting.
sorry?
It's a universe hinting at you, saying, give it a go.
Exactly. And improv, that isn't the first time that's come up for me. So maybe the universe is telling me, Sarah, get into improv. That's your next thing. Right, Tazmin, we need to wrap up because we've massively gone over. Massively. But yes, I don't think there's anything else to say on this subject. We've both ended and wrapped up really nicely with our key takeaway or key action. So yeah, and the only thing left to say is that if you enjoy what me and Tazmin are doing and you love the SEO Mindset podcast and you want to support us, you can do that by giving us a one-off donation, a link in the show notes to do that, and it costs you the same amount as your favourite beverage from your favourite coffee shop. Big thank you to everyone else who's done that. What's another way, Tazmin?
Share this episode. Tell everyone in your circle who wants to progress their career without burning out all about us, because every episode, I know it's the SEO Mindset podcast, but it transcends different industries and different professions.
Fabulous. Right. Goodbye. Take care of yourselves, and until next time.
Goodbye. Until next time, everyone. Hi, Tazmin here. Are you looking to take your career to the next level? Be more visible, earn more, but also take care of your well-being and have work-life harmony? Well, I can help you because I'm offering you a free 30-minute consultancy call. Together we can go through where you want to be and how to get there. Simply click on the link in the show notes, fill in a form, and I'll get back to you.
Search has changed, but most strategies have not. If you're still measuring success purely on rankings and clicks, you're missing where the real decisions are happening. Previsible helps brands understand and grow their visibility across AI platforms, so you're not just present, but you're actually chosen. If you want to see where your brand stands and how to build trust in AI-driven search today, simply visit previsible.io or find the link in the show notes.